Video 4, The Encounter and the Academy. In this video, we will follow St. Francis de Sales' experiences in Dijon, Saint-Claude, and Annecy. Chapter 7, The God of Encounters. As a bishop with a reputation for preaching, de Sales was invited to go to the French city of Dijon to preach a series of Lenten sermons. Dijon, capital of Burgundy, had an interest for Francis. The young Archbishop of Bourges, André Frémiot, would be present in Dijon since his father was president of the Parliament, and Francis wanted to settle with the Archbishop over the territory of Gex. Although Gex, northwest of Geneva, had been given to the Diocese of Geneva by King Henry IV, the young Archbishop had gotten the king to give Gex to his diocese. Rather than fight publicly, Francis wanted to meet to work things out personally, and so he accepted the invitation to preach, figuring he could kill two birds with one stone. Into the encounter between Francis and André Frémiot in the city of Dijon would come another person, the Archbishop's sister, Jane. Jane and André were the children of Bénigne Frémiot, president of the Parliament of Burgundy that met in Dijon and is pictured here. Jane had recently been widowed and was living with her children and with her difficult father-in-law, raising his children and hers here at the Chateau of Montalon. The president thought it would be a good break for Jane to leave Montalon for a while and come to Dijon for Lent to attend the sermons. They were to be held in the Sainte-Chapelle, a chapel that no longer exists, but which was located where this parking lot is now, next to the theater. This window from the Basilica in Annecy depicts Francis preaching in the Sainte-Chapelle with the widow in attendance. Jane had been happily married to Baron Christophe de Chantal. Their marriage took place here at the Chateau of Bourbilly in the chapel on the second floor next to the tower. Jane had 4 children, a boy, Cels Bénigne, the future father of Madame de Sévigné, the famous French author, and 3 girls. Marie-Aimée, 2 years old, future wife of Bernard de Sales, François, at 15 months, with her doll, and in her mother's arms, Charlotte, 3 months, who would die so young at 9 years of age. Her husband had obligations to the court in Paris and would often be away. In 1601 he had been ill and was back with her at Bourbilly, recovering. One day he decided to go hunting as a diversion. An accident happened, and he was fatally wounded. Jane was passionately in love with her husband and was devastated by his death. In spite of her great loss and heartache, little by little Jane began to accept God's will. She began to increase her work with the poor and the sick. She began to desire a closer relationship with the Lord. In fact, a testimony to the esteem of the people for her can be seen in this statue, which is still in the village church. It is called the Good Woman of Montalon. When Francis came to Dijon and was received by the president and the archbishop, Jane was present. A biographer of Jane de Chantal speaks of God as a God of encounters. God is present in our encounters with Him and with others. Later, both Jane and Frances would attest to their belief that God was involved in their encounter, that he wanted it to take place, that something important for the church would come of it. Actually, each of them had seen the other in thought or in a vision or some kind of premonition. Jane had seen Frances as a shepherd of her soul. Frances had seen Jane at Torrens as the foundress of a religious congregation they would create one day. Jane would go back to her children and to her difficult father-in-law at the Chateau of Montalon, shown here.